Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Econ Americas podcast, where we share under the radar investment opportunities from countries across the Americas, up from Canada down to Chile. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all the major podcast platforms. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Anchor, whatever you get your podcast feeds. So, in case you're a first-time listener of this show, Econ Americas is a startup research firm that provides financial and economic intelligence. You can learn more about us and our services at econamericas.com, and you can find us on the major social media platforms as well. Today, I'm very pleased to be joined by Mauricio Ríos García. Mauricio is an economist. He is the author of books such as The Lost Decade of the West, a manifesto against the Great Recession, and Incautos, the huge bubble that Bolivia was led into and how to get out of it. He does offshore wealth management as a founding partner and director of Crusoe Research. Mauricio, thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, how are you, dear Daniel? It's an honor to be in your program.
No problem, Mauricio. We would like to discuss with you the state of the oil and gas industry in Bolivia. And for those listeners who may not know much about the country, can you please give us just a brief overview of the Bolivian economy, the main resources that the country has, and the main players in this industry?
Well, the thing is that the Bolivian economy is highly dependent on oil, on the oil sector, which has been nationalized, or I don't know, the government
took over the industry.
Exactly, thank you. Took over the sector on 2006, and now things have changed a lot. The thing is that the sector is going through a big crisis, is facing a big crisis, and not just because of the pandemic. The sector is facing a big crisis, at least in the beginning of 2010. The minister of then already said that the sector had to be restructured. So we've been going through a lot from that time, and now the actual minister of oil the thing is that our minister is saying that we have to restructure again after the nationalization of 2006. We have to restructure the sector right now because we are going through deficit in about between 2 and 6 years, I believe. So the thing is that many economists are celebrating that oil is facing or reaching the $70 per barrel. They are celebrating because they say that now the government can spend as much as they want as in the past. Of course, this is a mistake, a huge mistake. The thing is that now, if we are facing a crisis, and maybe in 2 or 6 years we are going to have to import the natural gas we used to export, now is not the time to celebrate having the price of oil, the barrel at $70. So it's really absurd, and we are now facing that huge crisis.
So let's backtrack just a couple of years to when Evo Morales, the former president of Bolivia, nationalized the industry, like you said. What were the conditions then when he changed that policy, and what have been the effects for the industry? And please correct me if I'm wrong, there were confiscations of companies, of foreign companies?
Not exactly. Many experts say that it was not really a nationalization. The thing is that we had a law precedent. The oil law was called the 3058, and it was from 2005, I believe. It was signed by Orlando Bacadíes, the neoliberal politician from those days. That law was the main thing that gave us such resources. So what Evo Morales did in 2006, when he was president, was to renegotiate the contracts we had with different companies. Many companies stayed, but no company was investing in exploring to find new reserves. So we can now, in these days, find consumption in adequate levels.
Right. So you say this has been a disinvestment, or at least investment has not kept up with the required levels to sustain output and really keep the industry going. So nowadays there is a new call for investments, right? And this new administration of President Arce, is he going to point in a different direction? Has he said anything publicly?
No, he hasn't said anything about it. The thing is that we desperately need dollars right now. We have very low reserves in the central bank, and the thing is that we are not going to be able to get those if not increasing the public debt. Maybe later we're going to deal with the IMF. Maybe we are going to deal with China. We don't know. We were projecting to have sovereign bonds on the first quarter, I believe, for $3,000 billion. We didn't do it. We couldn't do it. So we are desperately needing those dollars. If Arce says we need private investing, foreign private investing in the sector right now, I believe maybe we can get a deal in the short term. But the thing is that we are not going to be able to get those contracts with Argentina and Brazil, that are our principal markets right now, our main markets to export our gas. So the thing is that Argentina and Brazil knew about this long before this all happened. So they aborted new negotiations with Bolivia. So it would take a long time to get private investments here to see a recovery of the sector right now. So we are going to face a crisis that is even more intense than the one we are having right now.
And I read an article you wrote on your website, which is great, by the way, and we will put the link in the show notes so people can check it out, that foreign direct investment in Bolivia has basically plummeted over the last decade or so. What do you think was the oil and gas sector the main reason for this, or are there other issues?
Well, not necessarily. The thing is that the investments we had here, foreign investment we had here, collapsed on since 2013, I believe. But before that, we were trying to get more investments here, and this is not a country private investment trust. So nobody wanted, if it not in the oil sector, nobody wanted to invest in Bolivia, because Arce and Evo Morales and all those people in Movimiento al Socialismo wanted to take over every sector of the economy. So there was no opportunity for any investor around the world to make any profit here. So there's no guarantee private property would be respected. So that is the main problem here in Bolivia, not necessarily the price of oil.
Right. And if the Arce administration says he wants to reform the oil and gas law, what do you think the main points of reform should be?
I believe it's already too late. It's too late because many things are shifting right now in the oil sector, even all over Latin America, or even in the all around the world. The thing is that maybe if Bolivia needs to import its gas for internal consumption, so we don't know yet where to get that gas. Maybe we can get it from Vaca Muerta in Argentina, but nobody knows exactly because we are not going to need, the sector is not going to need anymore those pipes. Those pipes we use right now to send our gas to Brazil and Argentina. So I believe it's too late, and we need structural reforms on our economy. And the first thing is not to be dependent on oil or even natural resources, and even more, it would be the best thing that the government takes his hands out of the economy.
Anytime you use Gmail, watch a YouTube video, or upload a file to Google Drive, data travels from your computer to the nearest data center. Google has 23 data centers across the world in 9 countries, most of them in the United States. In Latin America, there is one in Chile, and soon another one will step up shop in tiny Uruguay. Through a subsidiary, Google has bought 30 hectares of land in southern Uruguay. It is minutes away from the capital Montevideo and the country's main international airport. Google has yet to announce a date for construction, but the Uruguayan government has been in negotiations with Google since 2017. Google's plot is in a privately run free trade zone called the Sciences Park. It is a business and logistic hub with a focus on export-oriented firms in the life sciences and health sectors. It has 55 firms, including pharmaceutical and medical cannabis companies, and over 1,000 employees. Uruguay has 11 such zones across the country. According to the latest available data, they host 1,126 companies and employ over 15,000 workers. In 2018, their total output reached over $5 billion, or 31% of the country's exports. Any foreign or local company or individual can apply for a permit to develop their own free trade zone of any type of industry with a minimum investment of $10 million. The fiscal incentives are the most attractive part of the deal. Zero tax rates on land, value-added capital gains, or dividends. Further, there are no import tariffs for supplies and machinery for companies inside these zones. The only applicable taxes are those related with worker social security contributions. However, foreign workers that can make up to 25% of any duty-free company can opt out of those contributions. Uruguay has historically been one of the safest and politically stable countries in all Latin America. It ranks at the top of the world indexes of democracy, economic freedom, rule of law, ease of doing business, and freedom of speech. Uruguay has a well-educated workforce and is the leader exporter of software per capita in Latin America. Google's estimated investment amounts to $100 million, which will boost the country's status as a tech hub, drop more companies, export jobs, and career opportunities in computer engineering, software development, and the like. If you want to learn more about Uruguay's free trade zones, don't forget to check out our show notes, where we have included a link to a backgrounder on the topic by Economéricas.
Right. And I also read that the Bolivian government is trying to attract investments to explore mining opportunities. in Bolivia. Do you think that is a project that could maybe bring investment from abroad?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because the thing is that the scenario in mining sector is practically the same as in the oil sector. Things are very difficult. We don't have private property on the mining sector or even in the main mining sector in the country. So it's very difficult to involve in in big I don't know, in big plans to make in the mining sector. It's very hard right now. Nobody knows what Arce has on his mind, what he's going to do, or even if he has any plan at all to do with the economy. So we are facing the crisis because of many things like that.
So if it isn't the oil and gas industry or the mining industry, what do you think investors could look inside Bolivia to invest in? I mean, we're in the business of, advising people to invest in Latin America. So what do you think there are opportunities in maybe, I don't know, fintech or some other area of the Bolivian economy?
Yeah, maybe in lower regions like Santa Cruz, Beni, Pando, those kind of regions that doesn't depend necessarily on the sectors the country has been dependent on for hundreds of years. They don't have mining, at least not as much as the west of the country. They depend on the private sector is very strong on soil. They are very strong on the agriculture sector in Santa Cruz in those regions. But again, we have the difficulties with having very, very, very weak institutionality in Bolivia. So we are depending on that strictly. We have to embrace structural reforms.
Right. So the first step would be to strengthen Bolivia's institutions and the rule of law. So then investors can feel confident in bringing the money into the country, right? There is, in those sectors, as you mentioned, the government demands a certain percent of participation of shares in the joint ventures. So, and Bolivia has had political instability over the past year. So this scenario still needs to evolve and stabilize for people to want to invest again, right?
Yes, exactly. I will say that there's no way to go around it. We have to strengthen the institutions here in Bolivia, democratic and the institutions of freedom and liberty in Bolivia. There is no way to embrace a recovery, recovery on the long term.
And what about the stock market in Bolivia? What is the size and the liquidity that is available even for local investors? Is there much activity?
No, we have an informal sector from about our informal sector is around 70%. So the financial institutions are not that strong. We are not dependent. The economy is not dependent on the financial sector, and we have much things to do right now. So even if I can tell you right now, we are going to face another crisis in that sector because the government is trying to take over the pension funds right now. They are on an arbitrage right now, so we don't know what is going to happen in this country the next month with the economy and the financial sector. So it's very hard to say to people invest in this country right now.
Right. So let's end on a positive note. What are some trends that you see either domestically or abroad that will shape the economy over the next couple of months, besides the pandemic, of course, that is a given?
Well, the main trend we have to face right now is located on the financial sector. Exactly, talking about the taking over of the government of the pension system right now. We have very low reserves in the central bank, and we maybe the central bank is not going to be able to rescue the banks if there is any trouble there. So in the very short term, we're going to face maybe a very big crisis right now in the banking sector.
Right. And the last time I was in Bolivia, the government maintained a fixed exchange rate with the US dollar. Is that still the case?
Yes, we have that kind of policy since 2011, I believe, and I try to warn people if we take that over, so things are going to get so much worse right now, because the only thing that it would create is more inflation to add to our problems right now. So I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend to assume structural reforms first for the economy, and then if we have enough dollars, let's see if we need to devalue our currency.
Right. Well, we'll definitely keep a close eye on Bolivia and its developments, because it's a country with so much potential, and I think there is a great there are great people in Bolivia, and they deserve to be, to prosper like anyone else.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, dear Daniel. Let's see you soon.
No problem. Thank you, Mauricio. And just to tell folks to go to riosmauricio.com. It's his website. There you can follow him and his work. He has great articles, and also you can follow him on Twitter, I think LinkedIn too, and maybe some other social media. I don't know if there's another website where people can follow your work.
Just follow me on just reach to riosmauricio.com, and you are going to find me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Instagram, almost every other social media.
Great. Mauricio, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. See you.